here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mickelson, speaking at you from Sunday, July 27th, 2025, in the space and time continuum. Middle of summer. I love it. Very hot here in Minnesota. It's been a wild summer as far as weather goes. Way more rain than usual. And now just really hot, like in the 90s. Otherwise, the heat seems to also be on the whole Republican Party. I didn't know what to call this. The FAFO? F around and find out? Or did I want to call it GOP, acronym for Group of Pedophiles? I don't know. I still don't know what I'm going to title it. But the GOP seems to be, Newsmax and Fox News are leaning on calling Ghislaine, Chuck Schumer called her Ghislaine. Some people call her Ghislaine. I don't know if you mix the two together. How does that come out? Ghislaine? Hopefully the people who would be offended by that don't know what it means. But anyway, we'll skip past that. Ghislaine Maxwell, I think is how people who know her, they call her Ghislaine Maxwell. The GOP media, it seems like they're leaning on basically calling her a victim. That's not going to go down well. It's just not going to go down well with anybody. You've heard talk about, we're talking about the Epstein Files. Ghislaine Maxwell being Epstein's main, girlfriend, but also recruiter. And these oligarchs who, they used to call her Madam Maxwell. She would go to Mar-a-Lago and find young girls and then sex traffic them to Jeffrey Epstein, and then a whole bunch of rich oligarchs would, pay to have access. And these victims are starting to come out. They're no longer little girls. They were little girls when these guys were raping them. They are now grown women. Some of them are dead. There's been drug overdoses. There have been suicides because of what these puke monsters did to them when they were little girls. Some of these little girls who are now grown women say that Ghislaine Maxwell is the worst, scariest, most dangerous human they've ever come across. She multiple times threatened to kill them or have them killed if they didn't do the things she told them to do. And the things she was telling them to do and teaching them to do are things that we don't talk about on this show. You can imagine. And these victims are coming out with this information on different outlets. One of them was just a couple nights ago on MSNBC. Jen Psaki did a very thoughtful and good interview of one of these victims. I don't think I'm going to name these victims, even though they're coming out with their real names sometimes, but I just don't think we need to. It's up to them. So I will let them say their name. I'm not going to say their names, but some of their stories are really, really over the top and unbelievable. And they are about Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein so far. Of course, one of them talked about Prince Andrew. I always remember his name because his friends called him Randy Andy. Oh, my God. So the victims are going to be coming out more and more for the next 6 weeks while MAGA Mike is trying to hide the Speaker of the House, as you have heard. So let's go into some of the things you may or may not have heard this week. The Speaker of the House called a early summer August break because he didn't want to put a vote on the floor over whether or not to release the Epstein Files, because he knows that the vote will be, yes, please release the Epstein Files, and MAGA Mike is covering for Donald Trump, as is the DOJ. Where is Pam Bondi? Where's Kash Patel? Where's Dan Bongino? Where's Congress? The second in command at the DOJ interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell, and we all see a pardon coming in her future. Pardoning someone that these poor women who, when they were little girls, thought of Ghislaine Maxwell as the scariest monster they had ever met, somebody who threatened their lives many times. And Donald Trump is going to give her a pardon, is what it looks like. Because when he says, I hadn't thought about it, are you going to give her a pardon? Yeah, I hadn't really never thought about it until you just said that. And, but I could, you know, I'm allowed to, but I don't really want to talk about it. Well, he's done that numerous times with other criminals that are his friends, and it has always turned into, yes, he does end up pardoning them. Some GOPers are trying to make her into the victim. Now, other GOPers, and actually, it sounds like a lot of GOP voters and heavy Trump supporters, the Magati of the Magats, are not buying this. It is amazing how they have turned now against Donald Trump himself, and he cannot get away from it. He went to Scotland trying to get away from it. Protests galore. Go look. Just put Trump in Scotland, and you'll find all kinds of great, funny pictures of people with great signs protesting his even being there whatsoever. Of course, he's still asked about the Epstein Files in pressers, and he's like, you shouldn't talk about that. You should talk about Obama. He is a traitor. So now, in order to try and take the attention away from the Epstein Files, they're going back to the words, the names Obama, Clinton, Comey, Clapper. These are names that some people in their 20s don't even know because it was so long ago that these names were even in the news. Who talks about Hillary Clinton anymore? Donald Trump and his minions. So they're trying to do this whole thing, and then Tulsi Gabbard, you know, what she is an actress. She's had these different roles, and now she is the head of our intelligence community in our government. But really, she's an actress. She did a great job doing a press conference, making it sound like incredible information has just been uncovered about Barack Obama committing treason by making up the whole Russia tried to help Trump in the 2016 election. She did a great job of acting like any of that was true. If you had no idea what was going on, you would be like, wow, this sounds like the biggest deal ever. And then, of course, that's what Trump says. This is really the biggest scandal in the history. Oh, except for last week, I said the biggest scandal was the EpiPen. What did I say? The something pen. Anyway, this leads to that, but this is the biggest scandal, some people say, that of which has ever been known, So they want to talk about the 2016 election and Russia interfering in the 2016 election, which the Intelligence Committee, which was chaired by, what's his name, who is now our Secretary of State, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's all such a joke. I seriously can't remember his name right now. My brain is in summertime. I almost didn't do the show today just because it's summertime, okay? And it's like, this is just becoming a dull headache, waiting for the next shoe to drop, which is going to be the takedown of the complete administration. But we're waiting. Marco Rubio. I knew if I just talked aimlessly, his name would come to my head. Marco Rubio was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee that ruled that, yes, Russia did interfere in the 2016 election, and they were doing all they could to try and help Donald Trump win. Marco Rubio said so, and his committee, with months of, studying it. And Trump tried to do what is it? Oh my God, I can't think of any names now. The independent investigator to go over it, and they found, Barack Obama didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing wrongly done here. Yes, there's evidence that Russia did collude in the 2016 election. So if that's what they want to talk about, how bad is the Epstein Files? These things that they're using to try and distract us from the Epstein Files are not good for them at all. Okay, let's go through some things. Pete Hegseth, all right, starting back in March with the Signal Gate, where, a journalist was included in a Signal chat talking about an upcoming attack in Yemen of the Houthis. And he said there was nothing classified in there. Well, now it has come out that, yes, some of it was based on a classified email. There are people within the Pentagon who are telling the truth, who are anonymously telling the truth. Trump has no control over this. Pete Hegseth has no control over his own Pentagon. That's one thing that came out this week. Another thing that came out this week, there was a Starlink failure. That's how it was reported. Back in 2022 in Ukraine, Starlink was their main source of trying to talk to each other in the Ukraine military, their main communications, and it went down at a very, very crucial time. That really hurt Ukraine. It came out this week that Elon Musk actually ordered Starlink to be shut down in Ukraine in 2022. That shutdown, that was not just a failure of Starlink or some sort of IT problem. That was ordered by Elon Musk because, of course, Elon Musk works for Putin, just like Trump does. That wasn't proven that he works for Putin, but it did come out that Elon Musk actually ordered that Starlink shutdown. Also, something you may not have heard about, there was a global hack at Microsoft SharePoint server software tied to 3 Chinese hacker groups. All right, we're just getting started on some of these stories here and some of the things that I want to talk about. We're going to take a slightly early break, and I will come back and finish some details about this hack of Microsoft SharePoint server software. After a short break, you're listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back. Back on A Satellite View. If you like the music you hear here, go to toddmickelson.com and push the music button. Also, visit our website at satelliteviewpodcast.com. Sign up to be on our email list. Getting back to what we were talking about here, which was this global hack that happened at Microsoft SharePoint server software. A lot of U.S. government agencies use this. So what did these 3 Chinese hacker groups gain access to? Another thing is that Pam Bondi loaded, it sounds like, the Epstein list onto this server because she works for a U.S. government agency now. So what will be leaked out? We know. And by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's got everything. She knows everything. It is going to be coming out. The Republicans think they can cover for it. They think they can make it go away. MAGA Mike called an early summer recess, hoping that, the American people, they'll forget about it. The American people are stupid, and we expect that they'll just going to forget about it. And then when we come back, we won't have to be dealing with the Epstein Files because it's not with the American people. The Epstein Files ain't going nowhere. The GOP group of pedophiles is operating by old standards. People are so much more engaged now. And Donald Trump, even his tactics don't work. They're not working right now. He's losing his own supporters in droves. I mean, his polling right now is incredible, incredibly low. It's a catastrophe for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump. You know who else? You know how I said Ghislaine Maxwell knows everything about this stuff. She knows where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. You know who else did? Roy Black. He was a lawyer for Jeffrey Epstein. He died, 3 days ago? Yes, he was 80 years old. I don't know. Yeah, people get old and die, and that's what they're saying happened. And I believe that, actually, to tell you the truth. But man, what timing. Is that like the cosmos just trying to keep this story hot? Roy Black wasn't in the news until he died, and the reason he was in the news before was because he was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. Wow. He knew everything. Jeffrey Epstein knew everything. Yeah, he committed suicide, right? What's going to happen to Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, she might get a pardon. I don't know. They probably know they can't kill her. So this is so maddening. It's all so maddening. And it's because of these innocent people, these innocent girls. Donald Trump has been accused of rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment, including non-consensual kissing, groping, at least by 25 women since the 1970s. Of course, the number's actually higher than that. This is in Wikipedia. All these details are here. And some of them, this is why it's so maddening. Now, you know about E. Jean Carroll probably, but man, there's a woman who was on The Apprentice. His ex-wife, Ivana. I want to talk a little bit about that because speaking of people who have died at a weird timing, Ivana Trump died in, I think, July of 2022. And her NDA, non-disclosure agreement with Donald Trump that she signed upon their divorce in 1993 was due to expire shortly after she fell down the stairs. There are stories that I'm even reluctant to tell because it gets so crazy. But these things are going to be known at some point soon. Ivana Trump, in her statement where she was asking for a divorce, on one occasion during 1989, Mr. Trump and I had marital relations in which he behaved very differently toward me than he had during our marriage. As a woman, I felt violated, as the love and tenderness which he normally exhibited towards me was absent. I refer to this as a rape. She told other people that she was raped. He visited her plastic surgeon to do something with his hair because he was losing his hair. Like, hey man, it happens to the best of us, right? He was trying to do something with his hair. She recommended her plastic surgeon. He went there. He had expressed anger and ripped out her hair from her scalp. And then he raped her. A violent assault is what she called it. And then she told friends that he raped her. She called it rape. Yeah, they were married, but there are so many names. I mean, obviously there are more than 25 names. There's a name, Katie Johnson. I will use that name because it's not her real name. And she tried to testify 2 different times. And her testimony basically makes Donald Trump into a horrible criminal rapist mobster. I am reluctant to read it because it is so gross. She was 13, and she said she was 100% aware that they were both, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, were aware of her age. That's part of what turned them on about her. She was 13. And as Donald Trump was committing this rape on her, she was begging him to stop, and I'm not going to explain all that he did and said, but he did threaten her family, saying they would be physically harmed if not killed. So in this ring, this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, death threats, a lot of death threats. And we know, you've heard me speculate about that Donald Trump does that to legislators. I mean, he's a mobster. He's a mafioso, without the nice clothes. Another thing that you did not hear this week, you've heard me talk about a lot. We're just going to move on from that. It really sickens me what's going on, or what went on with Donald Trump and who knows who else. And these files, they do need to come out. I think they are going to come out. I think we're going to be sickened by the revelations that come about because of that. These are things that have been in the news. They've been out there for years, and we're being forced to review them. And it is so gross. It is so gross. And you can tell Donald Trump is terrified. The moves that they're making, this Tulsi Gabbard thing, she actually is, submitting Obama to be arrested by the DOJ. How desperate is that? It's crazy what they're trying to do, to distract from the Epstein Files. Everything they do just makes it worse. Just makes it worse. Every move they make just makes you have more questions. And the questions get sicker and sicker. It's like, did he really do this? Wow. So, but I'm switching gears. This is another thing that they're going to be terrified of. You've heard me talk about Rockland County. I'm reading from Rockland County Times. This is a quick sort of review. A seminal case questioning the accuracy of the 2024 presidential and Senate election results in Rockland County, New York, is moving forward. In open court last month, Judge Rachel Tanguy of probably not saying her name right, of the New York Supreme Court ruled that discovery must proceed, pushing the lawsuit brought by smart legislation into the evidence-gathering stage. And that's because they already presented this judge with enough evidence. So the judge is saying, yes, go ahead with discovery. The lawsuit seeks a full hand recount of the presidential and U.S. Senate races in Rockland County, New York. This is going to be a huge trigger. There are at least 12, last I heard, which was weeks ago now. There's probably more states that are really kind of waiting to see what happens with this Rockland County case, because they are thinking of also demanding a hand recount of the presidential election of 2024 because they too are finding evidence. Evidence similar to what was found in Rockland County, where the Senate candidate in some towns got like 79% of the vote, and Kamala Harris got 0 votes, not 0%, which would also be 0 votes. She got 0 votes. So Elon Musk took it way too far when he used Starlink to change the vote count in the machines. And that's what these people are bringing to the attention. They brought it to the New York Supreme Court, the New York State Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, yes, we need to look further into this. They set a trial date of September 22nd or 3rd. Well, that happened about a month ago. This week, they changed that date. Now, normally we would hear, oh, okay, they changed it to like 2028, right? They changed it till after the midterms or something. No, they moved the date sooner, almost by a whole month. This is now going to court. The discovery must be far enough down the trail here that they actually moved the date from September 22nd or 3rd to August 29th. Wow. 4 weeks from now, the Rockland County Court is going to hear this case. There are 12 other states waiting to see how it goes and are considering doing a hand recount. And if the hand recount doesn't match the votes, if they do a hand recount in Rockland County and they find that Kamala Harris, they got votes. She got votes in this town. There are people reporting that they voted for Kamala Harris in these towns, but there are no votes counted by the machine. People who claim, I stood there, I watched my ballot go through the machine, verifying that my vote was counted by the machine. But there were no votes for Kamala Harris. These are people who said, I voted for Kamala Harris on that ballot. It's looking very much like the machines changed the vote. Not for Kirsten Gillibrand, who is running for the Senate, but for Kamala Harris, who is running for the president. There are a lot of very convincing details about this, but that has been moved sooner. That's an incredible thing. Wall Street Journal is not leaving this Epstein thing alone. I predict they're going to come out with something every 3 days, and maybe even getting to be more often than that over time. Another thing, Stephen Colbert, the CBS announcing that they're getting rid of his show. Stephen Colbert is just being empowered. Donald Trump thinks that, I got Stephen Colbert fired. I got him fired like a dog. This like a dog. Well, Stephen Colbert has no F's to give anymore. He's already started. And he's even hitting CBS and Paramount. And it's pretty incredible. And then, of course, you probably heard about the South Park episode that came out. And it turns out, I don't know that this is true. I can't verify this is true, but there was a scene where Donald Trump is in bed with Satan as though they're lovers. And the thing I can't verify, but I did hear, is that Satan is suing South Park because this totally ruins his reputation, being in bed with Donald Trump. He's not that evil, is what Satan is trying to argue. Yeah. Stephen Colbert's just, he's just going to have a better show. The whole broadcast thing is changing. Broadcast news is not doing they're not doing their job. It's going to streaming like Midas Touch. Other, podcasts, people are more interested in reality and truth. Not reality like reality shows like on broadcast TV, because that was BS. We all know it. We all knew it. I think Stephen Colbert is going to be put in a place that is a better place for him anyway, because wearing a suit and tie and having a band and a live audience and all the big fancy TV cameras that cost $1 zillion just to produce the show every night, and have writers, trying to keep up with things but not being able to, they have to get in under the censors. That's done. We're done. We're done with that. That's why even his show, even though it was the most viewed show, highest rated show, was losing money. It's just the whole system needs to change, and it is changing, starting with Stephen Colbert. Now, we've just run out of time. You probably did hear about Ozzy Osbourne dying, which is an incredible story, I think I'm going to tell you in a moment. But here's a story you maybe didn't hear. Hulk Hogan also died. And, it's a sad thing when people die. They're not here. We can't see them anymore, and their family might miss them and stuff. But Hulk Hogan, he became a big MAGA hero, made a fool of himself at the convention in 2024, and he was just trying to become relevant again, and did for about 2 minutes there, and then he died. Whereas Ozzy Osbourne had his farewell tour. Ozzy Osbourne, who everyone was scared of in the 70s and 80s, when he bit off the head of the bat, he was the Prince of Darkness, and parents thought he was the devil. And he did his final tour, which was incredibly great from what I hear. I didn't actually see it. My daughter saw it. She's not even an Ozzy fan, but she saw it and said it was an incredible. She saw clips from it, or the final song or something. And he actually is sitting down because he's not trying to be, he was really old. He knew, I'm not going to stand up and try and do a concert as though I'm still 25 years old. And it just sounds like he did a really, really tasteful, great production show, did his tour, final show of which was 1 or 2 weeks ago, and then, took a bow and left the whole stage of the planet Earth, going out just the way he wanted to, with total control over how he went out. And now he is the Prince of Lightness, because he has gone to the light. So pretty wild times we're going through. And a lot of these people who we thought of as rock stars when I was young, they're old now. And so a lot of them are starting to die. But for some reason, the Ozzy Osbourne thing doesn't seem sad. It seems like victory, like a mass victory, like he used the world as his stage, and when he was done, he was done. And I just think that's kind of incredible, and adds to his legacy. I wasn't even a big fan of his. I just think the story is kind of incredible. So we've got, I don't know why Republicans now feel that they need to protect pedophiles, but that's the world we're living in. And it's not going well for them, and it's going to go even worse for them. I think they think that over the month of August, the whole Epstein thing's going to go away. I think what's going to happen is more and more of his victims and Donald Trump's victims are going to come out and speak, because they're grown women now and they are pissed. And those are the people we should be listening to and honoring and protecting and bringing justice for. Whereas the Republicans are trying to, bring justice for the pedophiles. They're calling the pedophiles the victims, trying to protect them. No, we need to protect and bring justice for the actual victims, the young girls that Donald Trump and his friends raped. Yes, I'm saying it because it's true. And that's what we talk about here. That's what we talk about, not on broadcast news, but elsewhere. Yeah, kind of a weird show this week because it was a weird week, but in a different way than all the weeks have been weird lately. But I thank you again for listening. I hope I gave you some information that was interesting to you. again, we're in this together. We need to stick together. It's what Kamala Harris says. She apparently canceled her vacation for something, and then came out with photos of her huge rallies that she had in 2024, reminding us of the hope that she purveyed in her campaign. She's basically acting like it's still then, and I think she's just kind of waiting for this all to happen. She seems in a good place, so she canceled her vacation and then reminded us of that, and she also reminded us of what I always say, that she always said, we're all in this together, and when we fight together, we win, and that's what we're doing. So let's stick together, and let's enjoy the summer. It's the middle of summer, man. Let's enjoy it. Get outside. Enjoy if you're in the northern hemisphere, I guess I'm talking, and take care of yourself, because we all need to take care of ourselves and each other. We can't take care of anyone else unless we take care of ourselves. So take care of yourself. We're all in this together. Let's stick together. Thank you so much for being here with me. I will speak at you next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mickelson. Go to toddmickelson.com for links and more information.